Son som nevni getan völsång son tävar en unka görde så kona hans var hon gröne bargotlea haje tjure svinkar svörja raje.
It was cloudy with some rain the morning that we arrived at the port of Torshavn, the capital city of Denmark's Faroe Islands. The day was September 6, 2006. As soon as we arrived at the port of Torshavn, we were gathered in the Princess Theater to collect our stickers for the early morning excursion.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I must apologise for the delay getting into the theatre this morning. The unfortunate reason for the congestion this morning, we literally have 26 different buses that are going to be leaving from the theatre.
It was an orderly disembarkation when our time came. The rain had stopped and we soon boarded our designated bus.
Yes, we can do.
I'm going out.
Back over now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Faroe. My name is Sveinur Tómasson, and our bus driver is Jan Hendrik Vardon, and we're going to take you to Kirkjubøur, which is the medieval bishop's residence here in Faroe, with some old houses and churches we're going to show you. And after that we're going to see the most important cultural house in Faroe, the Nordic House. We are now in Torshavn, which is the capital of Faroe. And Torshavn means the harbor of Thor, the thunder god in the ancient Nordic mythology. And now I'm going to hand out the map in just a minute.
It's been like that all day.
It's my first time in this part of the world, and I could use a good reference to learn more about this place. Thanks.
The population in Faroe is 48,000. Here in Torshavn we have 18,000 people. That makes Torshavn the smallest capital in Europe.
And as we cruised along the streets of Torshavn, we learned some geographical and historical facts about the Faroe Islands and its residents.
That shows that the Faroese are more related to the Gaelic people in Ireland and Scotland than we are to the Norwegians and the Danes and the Scots. The closest place that Christianity was introduced in the year 999 by this man here. You see him on your left hand. He was called Sigmundur Brestesson. He was a chieftain, and he came from Norway when he intended.
We headed south of the island, and soon, past the town proper, the green view of the countryside looked very peaceful and refreshing until we reached our first destination, the Kirkjubøur, which sounded like a European fast food meal.
And we're going to stop here for 50 minutes, and I'm going to take you around, so please follow me, and we're on bus number 4, but I don't think you will get lost here.
Excited and cold from the Atlantic wind, we followed our guide to our first stop at the dock.
Here we see two traditional Faroese boats. And they are built exactly the same way as the Viking ships were built 1,200 to 2,000 years ago. And there are different sizes. These are very small boats, but they can have, this one is for 4 men rowing. In this one, 6 men can row, but we have also got boats with 8 men rowing, 10 men rowing, and even 12 men rowing.
Standing behind us were a few houses built with traditional turf roof, which were designed to provide insulation and withstand Atlantic storms.
This church is oldest church in Kirkjubøur. But this church is has been, yeah, it is still here, and it is now the village church, and it's being used by the people here in this village on Sundays and for holidays. We are going in to see the church.
What's
yes.
the name of this church?
It is St. Olaf's Church. It's the Church of St. Olaf.
Beside the St. Olaf's Church is a burial ground where people who have inhabited this village over the centuries have been buried. This white-walled church was built in the 12th century. In the altar is a modern painting of Christ watching over a boat full of men.
As you can see, the timber has all been renewed. It is not the old timber from medieval times, but the walls are the original walls. And there was a crucifix from the 16th century, a beautiful crucifix on the altar. But 2 years ago, when the people came here in church, it had disappeared. Someone in Faroe, we have the custom from old times that the churches are always unlocked, they're open, because nobody steals from a church.
But nowadays, the people are very happy that the church's original hand-carved interiors from the medieval times are safely kept in the Museum of Torshavn.
So that the hymns that people sing, they just look on this table here, on this...
And then, our short church visit was concluded with a song of praise by Mr. Torshavn.
Sin hårdaste låt och låten kommer hit fra himlen till oss ned, fra himlen till oss ned. So this is the only part that is nowadays can be seen nowadays of the old bishop's residence. This is just a small part of it originally. Because in 1776 an avalanche came down and destroyed most of this. So it was threatened, this bishop's residence was threatened both by the sea and the mountain. Yes,
This red door with carvings is a replica that adorns the front of the old house.
This symbol here, you can see that symbol on the interior, old interior at the Museum Torshavn, the interior from the old church. And this is the Norwegian lion, the lion with the axe. It's the symbol of the ancient Norwegian state. But the modern Norwegian state from 1814 also uses that weapon, still today. Yeah? Mind your head.
Very low.
This house is originally built in the first decade of the 12th century. And this is the original timber. And King Sverre of Norway has been living here in this house. And you can see King Sverre here on the wall. This is a copy, it's a present from the Cathedral of Nidaros in Norway, where they have the original.
Many objects in this house are made from timber, salvaged from ships. There were also old pots and other implements on the wood-burning stove.
All the things in here are original things that were used by people who lived here in Kyrkjebøur. And this is in fact not a public museum. This is a part of the farmer's house. The farmer who lives here, when he has a party or something like that, it's all in here. A wedding or someone graduating, then they have a party in this house.
This house has a very interesting history, and to spice things up, we were treated with a dance song before heading out to our next stop.
Tjure svinkar svörja raje, säger över armen fäck och granne, han bar gottlig av haje. Och så glädjeliga dräcka tajre rujtjen och jag så tojeliga sätta tarsen tecknar och stål granne bar gottlig av haje. Tjure svinkar svörja raje, säger över armen fäck och granne, han bar gottlig av haje. Och frier gäck och han ryka konstens land, lötte söjna bar de har ner vid sjöarstrand, granne bar gottlig av haje.
From the farmer's house afterwards, our tour guide walked us over to a nearby cathedral, the Magnus Cathedral.
And it was built in the 1290s, and it is the largest building built in Faroe in the medieval times, in the medieval period. And it is named after Magnus, the Earl of Orkney. And there is also a connection to Iceland. In the wall there, there's a bone from St. Magnus's body, and a piece of wood which is said to be from the cross of Christ. And,
This medieval cathedral was never completed and remained unfinished to this day and without a roof. Currently, the remaining thick walls are covered by a temporary roof to protect the building. Soon, it was time to say goodbye to this Faroe Island village, and we walk our way back with the rest of our group.
Gahin ryka konstens land, lötte söjna bar de har ner vid sjöarstrand, granne bar gottlig av haje.
At the end of the medieval ruins visit, we boarded the bus back and then headed toward the Torshavn town, where we went to the Nordic House Cultural Center. And along the way, we learned more about life on this island.
Most Faroese people want to move away from Faroe and go out to take an education, but most come back to settle down in Faroe because, well, it's a peaceful place. Faroe is a very peaceful society and it's a perfect place to raise children. Well, now we are at the Nordic House, as it's called, and we're going to see this very important cultural house.
And so, this is the Nordic House. Interestingly, the roof is also all covered with green grass. I can't imagine how they mow the roof.
this house was built in 1983. And it is a joint project between the Nordic countries. And the Faroese government. The material was brought from the different Nordic countries. The timber is from Sweden, and the furniture is from Finland, and the stone. We see the stone floor over there. All that is coming from Norway. That is Norwegian. All the glass is Danish, and the ceiling and everything like that. It's Icelandic. And the grass on the roof is, of course, from Faroe.
Built as a center to impact the culture between the Faroe Islands and other Nordic countries, the Nordic House has a large lobby space that can house a number of simultaneous activities. There is a cafe and a recessed amphitheater, and exhibitions are organized here as well as cultural events. After the house visit, and with everyone accounted for, it was time to see the rest of Torshavn.
O Sigmund son evni han völsång son tävarin unka gördes kona hans var hon grönne bar gottliga haje tjure svinkar svörja. And here you see a statue of Nödsjöpoll, Paul from Nödsjö, and an oyster catcher above him hunting a larger bird. Here on your left you see the city hall built in 1894, And this is the city center itself, and the white building there from 1856 is the Parliament House where the Parliament has its meetings nowadays.
We paid close attention to this part of the tour as the sceneries became interesting.
National bird, if you might
At the
say.
harbor, our ship was still there, waiting for us.
And all the red buildings are government offices nowadays. And if you have time, you can walk in that part of the quarter down there is quite cozy and small narrow streets, and you can take a walk in that part of town. And here you will see your beautiful ship.
Walking in town wasn't part of this excursion, but we went around the town of Torshavn for a few more minutes of touring before we headed back to the ship to end the morning excursion.
Well, I'm sorry to say the time is up, but I really thank you for your attention. And I hope you enjoyed the trip.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have a nice day and a nice trip.
Okay.
Thank you.